Welcome this morning at the ICA-Belgium Color Talk. Thank you for being here this morning. We have 74 attendees from, what was it again? 27 countries and 57 cities. I also would like to do a special thing for our members and our supporters, because without you, ICA-Belgium could never survive since we do not get any funding. So we really, really rely on you. Since last time that we were Zoom bombed, we changed to Microsoft Teams for security reasons. We applied as a non-profit, what was granted, so we can host these webinars for free. This way, we can go on with our color talks. Okay, for us, it's a new platform, so probably there will be some hiccups along the way. Also now, not a lot of people seem to join, although we have a lot of people attending, but the recording will be on our YouTube channel anyway. What else we were busy with? We transported our website from WordPress to Substack, and Substack is a very nice platform which allows us to interact with you as a subscriber much better. We will share the link in the chat afterwards so you can have a look. Then I'm very glad that Ingrid is here this morning. I heard her talk in Sao Paulo, and I thought, although the rest was also very good at the symposium, I thought her talk was the best. And I was so enthusiastic that immediately I asked her, oh, can you please come to our color talk and tell your presentation one more time? Because I think we can all learn so much from this. Okay, welcome, Ingrid. So Maya, I will give the mic to you now.
Thanks, Janet. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome, and welcome to Dr. Ingrid Calvo Ivanovic, who is a color designer, researcher, and consultant with a PhD in design research from Politecnico di Milano. For 15 years, she has been a full-time researcher and epistemologist in the field of color, developing methodologies for its study, teaching, and application in design, architecture, and art, concerning other research areas such as visual and curatorial studies. She has presented specialized conferences and workshops in different countries in America, Asia, Europe, and Oceania. She's a member of the executive committee of the International Color Association, a member of the editorial board of the Color Research and Application, a member of the steering committee of the Color Literacy Project, as well as AIC study groups on color education and environmental color design. She's also a member of the design committee of the National Agency for Research and Development in Chile and chair of the Cumulus Working Group on the 21st Century Color Education. She's an assistant professor at the design department of the Universidad de Chile and a lecturer at the Politecnico di Milano in Italy. Ingrid, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome, and the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me right? Yes?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Now I'm going to share my screen. I hope you can see that. So, can you see my presentation?
Yes, yes, we can.
Great. Okay. So again, I would like to say thank you for the invitation and for the effort to put this presentation, also this talk together. So I want to also say hi to everyone in the different places where they are hearing, listening to us. And I will present I will do my presentation on the future of color, fostering sustainability in color design. First of all, I want to say that this is part of my macro research area, which is about color and design. So sustainability is one of the topics that is part of the micro areas that go in this macro research. So it's also part of one of the results of my PhD research that I finished in 2022. And this was one of the postdoctoral topics that were raised during the PhD research. So I will go to, if we are going to talk about the future, I think that it's a good idea to start talking about the past and then to see where we are going. So in the case of what was happening in the past in terms of color and design and sustainability, the vision we have about what the past was is about the fact that color is has usually been perceived as a mere aesthetic attribute of products. So usually color sometimes has been perceived, or during history, we can see that color has a very low status in relation to other elements of art and design, such as shape or drawing or perspective, and usually has had this specific place where it seems to be like a second category of elements where color is. So this has taken us to the fact that usually during the past, people have thought about color and the decisions of color at the end of the design process. So usually what has happened is that people were usually designing all the different elements of a design product or a project, and usually there was a moment at the end of the design process in which they were asking themselves, what colors should I put to this thing, or what color should we use here, right? So this is not another thing that the result of this low status, this low category element, which we know, of course, the people listening to this talk and we all together that we work in the world of color, that is a very wrong place, right? It's not right to consider color just at the end of the process, because it's a very important element that can potentiate design in very different ways. So going to see the present, well, this is the present actually that we can see, the colorful present that we can see unfortunately in our beaches. This is a color palette we will never like to see in our surroundings, and this is very much what has happened because this idea of not thinking on color properly and the power it may have, and how it can also contribute not only to the beautiful aspects of the product or the project, but also to the footprints of a lot of different elements or products and objects that are around us. So I would like to go now for giving you some let's say hard data information, so you can also understand better what is the state of this problem of not thinking in color properly in terms also of the sustainability of the project. So on one hand, we have this is something that we probably have heard about in the last year. So this idea that we understand today in the present that color cannot be this element, this decorative element that we can also only think in the last moments of the product, because almost the 90% of consumers may say that color alone is the primary reason for purchasing a product. So that's the power of color in terms of consumerism of the product, and also the impact it may have if it is not like properly thought about when we are designing. So that's in one hand. Also, we have another hard data here that's about the impact of the products and the environmental environmental impact of the product. So 80% of products' environmental impact are determined at the design phase. And this also talks about the importance of design in this, in shifting the thought and the approaches to sustainability, and how we designers are also in a way capable of bringing a lot of different products to the world, and how we are creating an impact also in our environment. So that's also a very important thing to have in mind. And for us working in the color world, this other information could be interesting. So when the companies are going to be rethinking or on their the way they approach to sustainability and environmentally friendly products, usually color will be one of the first elements impacted by those decisions, because as we may know, color usually adds in terms of the economical aspect of the products, and also it would add, of course, in the footprint of the product. The dyes and pigments, they are going to be having an environmental impact. So this also that I'm saying about the environmental impact of color is going to be related to the different, let's say, fields of design in different ways. One of the most relevant in this case is the textile design, or this textile industries or field. So we have this quote of 2022 that says that already in the year 2015, the gas footprint of the textile dyeing industry was about 1.2 billion tons of CO2. And this number also, usually when we have these like very big numbers related to the impact on the environment, they are very difficult to measure or to understand the magnitude of that. But when we have a very specific example of the fact that this footprint is higher than all international flights and shipping combined of the same year, 2015, then we try to, we can understand how is the impact of this contamination. And the problem of this in particular industry is very related to color. Usually the waste of the textile color industry goes to the water, and actually the dyeing and processing of textiles is responsible for about the 20% of global water pollution. So we can see that even if we work in the world of color and design, we may have a very important impact on what we do, or the actions or the consequences of our actions may have this impact, and this means that we may have also some responsibility and possibility to change. So this is the idea also of my talk, is to understand that we have a problem, but that problem can very usually also become an opportunity to change. And that is what this presentation is going to be about. It's going to be a call for action, call for change. So what I'm going to present to you is an initiative of putting together a set of very different actions related to color and sustainability that I've been also mapping during the last years, and trying to understand how we could start thinking on this concept that I am also developing every day in my research, that is the idea of the color-driven design. So what happens if we shift entirely the paradigm of color being the last element of the design process, and what about if we think products or we think the design process through a color-driven approach? So for that, it is also important to think on how this future of the design, the color-driven design is going to be. And here I'm also getting some inspiration from Donald Norman with his Design for a Better World, when he's also talking about different 3 keys to change, so which are design should be meaningful, sustainable, and humanity-centered. And in terms of color, I ask myself how we can think on more meaningful color applications, or more sustainable color applications, and humanity-centered color. So meaningful for me will be communicating color in an understandable way, addressing the different aspects of life regarding color, and for sure try trying to educate more color, give more education to color decision makings. Also, in terms of sustainable, how color can be more sustainable is us thinking and trying to be responsible by creating this synergy between the human beings, the planet health, and of course, also we need to consider the economic prosperity. And a humanity-centered color design or color-driven design will put also human beings at the center of the color experience, and will create also color solutions that connect with people's cognitives and emotional states. So that's also where I think from my research results that we should go in the future. And all these three keys to change may also mean that color and color design should be connected with the different social and ethical concerns of design today, as the ones that you are seeing here. These are the topics that design is tackling today and that is taking care of today. So well-being, health, identity, emotion, behavioral change, for of course AI, and sustainability, which is what it's going to be about my presentation today. So in a better world, taking the words of Donald Norman, in a better world, color would be more connecting with these elements, and this also connecting color in our practice as designers and also maybe color educators could provide a more space for color in our schools and in our practice. So it's kind of an excuse to also connect color with more, let's say, complex topics, and not only thinking on color as a basic design element and giving it a proper category or a point of view. So said all this, what I'm going to be presenting you today is my sustainable color design strategies framework. I'm just going to give you an overview of how this framework was created. So as you can see here, it all started in 2022 with this preliminary study that I conducted from my researcher approach, scope literature review, and different, let's say, looking at how the state of the art was, so understanding what practices were already there, studying cases, and all of this took me to create a draft proposal of the strategies for color design. Actually, in those in that moment, I was calling them directions, and then I had this kind of prototyping process when I was also discussing with different experts and having some peer review from different stakeholders. Here, as you can see, I shifted from directions to strategies, because strategies are more in a way directional and everyone can have a role on that. And also the idea of action. So how can we take concrete actions to change the panorama of color design and sustainability? All of this was always discussed and shared with people of very different types of stakeholders. I'm going to say something more about that in the next slide. And everything took me to create the framework in July 2024, which I've been also disseminating since then. This framework is going to be 8 strategies and 40 actions, and the dissemination part started in some different design and color events, such as Sao Paulo, as Janet said before, and today is also one of those actions. So the different stakeholders that had been consulted and with whom I was also sharing this idea of the sustainable color and where color design should go in the future were from very different fields. So as you can see here, I was talking with color experts, color design experts, education experts, people working in the field, people doing research, also to have a point of view from the sustainability world. I was also contacting some different sustainability experts, again, from the industry and from the academic field. And some of them also were part of the writing of the Sustainable Development Goals of the European Union. So also people that was very into the policies and the topics related to sustainability nowadays and different actions to implement. I also talk and discuss with different types of designers and architects, from product design, material design, graphic design, so to understand different points of view. And I was also interviewing some experts on the industry. So with the four of them, these different conversations I could have at the end, the result that I'm going to present to you is let's say, is very much fed by those conversations. And so the framework is going to be, as I said, about 8 strategies that I'm going to present to you today, and some 40 concrete actions that are going to be, it's a framework for color design. It's not actually focused on one specific field of design or design practice. I am very aware that there are some actions that can be for this fashion design or product design. Other actions maybe are going to be more connected with architecture or special design. But the idea is going to be that we can all at least start the conversation. So you are probably seeing here very small typography, so I'm not expecting you to read this, but just to see the whole panorama, the big picture of the framework. As you can see here, the different strategies are in the middle, and then we have the different concrete actions. Also, on what I'm going to present to you, the strategies are going to be ordered in a logical way related to the design processes. So the three first actions that we are going to see are going to be related to the concept part of the design process, and then the strategies from D to G are going to be about prototyping and choosing materials and making, let's say, like the manufacturing decisions. And finally, we're going to have a strategy H that is going to be more about quality control and communicating with color technologies. So this is the logic of the framework. But I'm going to go and analyze each one of them, so you can have a better look at them. So with that said, I will go for understanding and showing you the different parts of this framework. So the first strategy, as I said, starting from the concept part of design, is, let's say, an overall approach to the design and color design process from a sustainable color mindset. So as you can see here, we have some keywords that are sustainable mindset, empowering people, and responsible collaboration. So this is kind of the philosophy behind the framework. And the different actions that you are going to be having here. So in strategy A is first trying to train more the color decision makers. So as you may also share with me this view, education is the key, is the basis for everything. So more color education is needed, and I think this is something we may all kind of agree. It's not enough, and we always need more color education. So providing education to decision makers is key to start this framework. And then we are going to have other actions that are related to different aspects of this sustainable mindset. So trying to become familiar with the regulations, policies, and standards for color manufacturing. So understanding, actually, we can have a lot of good intentions, but we need to understand how these intentions could be concretized in the real life and in the different industries. Then collaborating with responsible brands. So if you have to choose your suppliers and your collaborators, trying to be to choose responsible and people that is working with sustainability. For instance, all the B Corps and people, they have a workflow that is environmentally friendly. Education, again, educating people, client, and consumers about the sustainable color choices that a product or design may have. Usually we do a lot of effort in improving and optimizing the different processes and choices behind the product, but those are not communicated. And I think communication also in this case is key. and empowering users with information to maintain the color in their products and prevent fastness. This last action, A5, is something that usually the fashion industry does. When you have a piece of garment, you usually go and see the tag and see how you can maintain the colors of your product. So this is something I think could be easily also translated to other areas of design. So I'm going to show you some examples for each strategy. So what you are seeing here is an example of how can we empower users with communication about color in products. This is also in the food industry, as you can see, but this is a design action. These tags that you are seeing here, that through this color palette are telling the consumers that these fruits, this banana or this avocado, can be they are ready to be consumed in a different way. So for instance, as you can see here, what can I do if I see the banana I'm buying, what color it has, and how can I use it so it doesn't become waste? So I can buy it anywhere. I don't need to buy only products that are really fresh. Maybe I need this banana to make a cupcake, and I could anyway buy it and use it. So in this way, we can in a way combat food waste. So this is, as you can see, very clear, clever design action that may help us to empower users and to try to avoid those issues of waste in the food industry. I'll give you another example. This is a more, let's say, from a technological point of view. This is a group of scientists at Purdue that has created this white paint that reduces the building surface temperature. So you paint the building in the exterior with this color, and the technology behind the pigment is helping you to keep the temperature. And so in this way, you reduce the consume of air conditioner or heating system. So these initiatives, as you can see, what they are trying to do is having this, like, let's say, tackling the problem in advance of waste and energy consumption. So these are how, in a way, design and other disciplines related to design could be also providing these interesting solutions. I will go with strategy 2, which is reflecting on color trends. This is something that is very related to design and fashion and product and car design, for instance. So how we can think on trends in a different way to which we have been using or doing on the past. So here the keywords of these strategies are going to be color trends, timeless colors, and slow color. This idea of slow color, that is something very interesting. I think we could also discuss after. And the actions for strategy B start with us rethinking the color trends or color trend culture for a value shift. So it's again slow color, the fact that trends are usually changing, and it's also for us providing trends and creating trends, try to think if this is needed. So every action we do with color and design, trying to reflect on the fact that it is needed actually, or is something we can rethink, and how we could maybe provide trends that are lasting longer. So also, another action here will be understanding consuming behavior. So going back to understand consumer behavior, preferences, and values. And this is because usually trends in the last decades, they are more than being connected to consumer preferences and behavior. They are usually orchestrated from a commercial point of view only. And this is part of all the different colors of the year or colors of the season trends that are ever-changing color trends. And when the different products, the different colors, when we go and change the year, of course, those different objects and products become waste. So understanding that these ever-changing color trends is something very critical we need to think about. And then we have action 3, which is trying to tackle this problem, trying to identify these timeless and iconic colors that could work over trends. So maybe thinking in the logic of trends as there are some let's say, like stable colors that you can use and that people can use, and maybe some variations of them can be complementary, and we don't need to change the entire color trend palette every year or every season. All of this will be related to the fact of trying to avoid the planned obsolescence of colors. So we don't have to design colors knowing in advance that they are becoming obsolescent and in 1 year or less than 1 year. And usually also consistent color branding is something that could help in this case. You may know that when some brands are doing some kind of collaboration with a specific designer, or two brands that are collaborating together, they usually provide new visual identity to that collaboration, and the first thing that is changed usually is color. So what about if we think that maintaining this color branding or consistent color identity for the brand may avoid also this idea that color is something you can like easily change, and this decorative aspect, or that we were talking at the beginning of the presentation. So going again to the examples, as you know already, and I also said something about that, color trends are usually ever changing, and then we know that they are specific to each industry or each brand or each year. So it's always a matter of producing merchandising, and how those merchandising from the year after, they kind of disappear of the panorama, but they usually actually they don't disappear. What you are seeing here is where this is the fast fashion graveyard in the Atacama Desert in the country where I come from, Chile, and this was discovered in 2020. As you can see here, this is all waste of the fast fashion, the fast fashion industry. And it's actually where usually all the things that we don't buy and that we don't use go, in this case in Latin America. So the thing that we don't see, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, and that is not becoming a problem. So it's kind of very hard to see this image. And the other thing that I want to propose also with this, and this is also going to be connected with the next strategy, is that trend colors should be evaluated as contextually driven, because as you may know, color trends usually are created in the Northern Hemisphere, from Europe and the United States, and they, let's say, are not really necessarily connected to the other places in the world or less developed countries or just the Southern Hemisphere. So it's kind of an imposition of the colors of the trends, of the colors of the year, of the colors of the season, that usually are not very connected with our local identities in different other places of the world. So what you are seeing here is a very clear example of that. I love to show this example when I present this framework, because what you are seeing is one of the colors of the fashion, color of the year in 2015, that was very, very famous or very widespread in the world. It was olive green during those years, the color of the year. And also in our retail stores in South America and South cone of South America, our retail stores, big retail companies, they were as usual following the trend that was given from the Northern Hemisphere and United States, and they bought tons and tons of clothes of this color, as you can see, in very different also hues and shades. And our stores in Chile, for instance, were full of this color, but there was no one single person that thought in the local value and perception of this color, because actually this color is the same color of our police or the police uniform. So what really happened here is that these colors were 1 week or 2 weeks in the stores and nobody was buying them. And this was because people didn't want to be dressed as police, right? We actually have a very let's say, not beautiful word to define this color, because it's the way we like, you can in a way, like pejorative way in which you refer to police. And what happened was that after 2 weeks they had to like take everything out of the stores because this was not sold, and they had to go back to the flowers and dots and patterns. So this was a great loss of money for that sector, and it was so easy to just think on how these colors were really connected or not with the local identity. So that's why this idea of universal trends, it's kind of tricky, because they should, in my opinion, be evaluated as contextually driven. And connecting with that, the third strategy is fostering identity, and this is called the concept of local color. So here the keywords are going to be local colors, involving communities, and culture and identity. So what about the local part and the local aspect and the social part of sustainability should also be considered, and is equally important to the environmental part or the economical part. So this is thinking on how we can involve communities in when we are working with environmental color design plans. So when we are maybe considering changing the colors of a neighborhood or a color of a community or a place, what about if we also, again, try to see what are those perceptions of value or local color meaning. So also surveying and researching and collecting information about those meaning and perceptions of value is going to be, in a way, ensuring the success of the sustainability project or the design project in a specific community. So for that, we also need to think and consider on the environmental and contextual factors when designing color. We can propose very interesting color palettes for a place, but if that place has some specific angle or it's in a place where the sun hits very strongly, then we need to think on how we can lower the heat. How can we also think on color fastness in the painting of the walls? So there are some contextual environmental factors that shouldn't be taken for granted when you are designing for a specific community or a specific territory. Also exploring colors of different noble materials you can find, of course, in a sustainable way to promote local culture and heritage. So if we want to create an intervention in some place, in some territory, how we can also connect that intervention with the noble materials and the elements of the culture and the local heritage. And this also could provide the supporting of local economies through local color manufacturing. So also trying to lower the footprint of what we do and different intermediaries we may have. So what about if we go to some place, to some territory, and try to connect with the local color manufacturing, and also help those communities to activate their local economy. And another thing, also to provide visibility to the local sources of organic colors, waste colors. What about if we realize that in the place where we need to create an intervention, or for the community we are designing for, maybe those areas have some very rich sources of organic waste that can be used maybe to work with recycled color. So this is trying to all of these actions you are seeing here are trying to change or shift the idea of imposing color and color palette to a local community, but instead trying to work with them, trying to inform them, and also to receive some feedback and from the specific place where we are thinking to position an object or a color intervention. So I'm going to show you some example here first of one of my friends, Elisa Cordero from Chile, which she had done several of these facade restoration projects in different places and different cities of Chile. And actually what she does is like community participation. She involves the community and asks the people, the oldest people of the community, if they remember the original colors of one place, and the place that they have to renew. And through local memory and individual memory, they manage to rebuild or recreate the original colors of one place. And when the community feels involved, actually the success or the keeping and maintaining these colors and non-vandalizing these colors are usually something that Elisa and her work, but also other researchers have proved. So at the end, you keep these colors, people like take care of the colors, and you don't have to be repainting and renewing again and again. So this is a very good example of community involvement. Also in terms of local color, but more related to dyes and textiles. The idea of creating local color charts or color charts from plant-based dyes is something that we can see in very different initiatives in the world. This is an example of the work of Hannah Elizabeth Jones. And as you can see in the left, the idea of understanding that not all colors are available during the different seasons, just as we are doing with the food market, right? So understanding that there are some availability of some ingredients or fruits or vegetables in some moments of the year, and other years you don't have them. So what about if we think that color as a natural, from the natural source, also as there are some colors available and some other colors not. Of course, all these initiatives you are seeing, and you may be thinking on I can apply this in my sector, and maybe I cannot apply this in my sector. But as I just said before the presentation, or before starting to present the framework, the idea is also that these discussions are raised, that we can have a conversation on that, and we can picture a future scenario where maybe we could implement some of them. And another example of this availability of local nature is, you may know already, this project, the Biocolor project, that actually they study the different pigments and dyes that they can get from their local nature, and they are creating a color chart, not only in terms of visual or design materials, but also in terms of chemistry and how to get and to keep those colors with the mordants and different technologies. So going to strategy D, which is embracing color relativity and the idea of color life cycle. Then here we will have keywords as color lifespan, color evolution, and design into fate, which is also an interesting point of view. We are going to talk about that. So the idea of the fact that relativity is something that usually every person working in the color industry is something that you usually try to avoid, even if we know that it's very difficult. Actually, it's kind of impossible to get rid of the relativity nature of color. So color change, color evolves, color gets lost, and then so what about if we change that way of thought and we try to use this relativity and this color change and this color evolution in our for our purposes, and try to provide with value to our design project. So that's the idea behind it. So the first action will be integrating color evolution and change as a design value. So the products can, in a way, show and showcase the color evolution in their surfaces, and that you can understand that this color is also the lifespan of the product. Also, a very important point of view, this was raised in a lot of conversations I had with the stakeholders, the idea of selecting the proper coloration technology and durability according to the product's lifespan. I can give you a clear example of this. Usually in the fast fashion world, in these big brands that are all that are present in all our different downtowns in our cities, when you go and buy a garment, for instance, some t-shirt, let's say that the average lifespan of one t-shirt of the fast fashion world is about 2 years, but the colors and colorants and dyes that have been usually used for providing color to that t-shirt, they usually will last like around 10 to 20 years in the soil after it becoming waste. So what about if we think like for short lifespans or products lifespan, we can use colors that we know are going to get lost after a few years, and they are not going to be contaminating the soil or the places for those many years. So that's the thought behind it. Also, the D3 is about enhancing the value of natural colors of materials. So trying to use natural color when we don't need to paint the color of the material. So this is something very related, for instance, of the different colors of wood, and trying to provide the value and to enhance the value of how the natural color behaves and how they change. And D4 is going to be also acknowledging the seasonal and context-related availability of biocolors, understanding that the colors are not always available and that may be also seasonal. So I'm showing you here an example of a place here nearby my home in Milan. These are the city life residencies made by Zaha Hadid studio. And the interesting thing is that you can see here, and it's very clear in the right part of the photo, that this, let's say the layering of this facade has been made with wood, but this wood has not been treated in a way that it keeps its color. Actually, it's providing the let's say the pass of the time, and you can see the evolution of the different facades according also to how the light hits or the shadow hits. So you can see how the building, even if it has a very like futuristic appearance, you can see actually that the pass of time in it, and it is very organic architecture. So the idea of the building being something alive, that it's something connected with that can be also showcased in the facade by the materials that had been chosen by the studio. And another very important example of this is this project that is called the Design to Fade. And this is a concept very interesting, I think. It's trying to understand that the color loss can be something that improves the project. In this case, what you are seeing here is sport garments that are dyed with bacterial colors. And actually, the bacteria, they react to sweat and people working out. So the more you work out, the color get lost. So in this case, it's a very positive thing that the colors of your garment are lost, because it means that you have been working out and having a healthier lifestyle. So as you can see, the idea is the logic behind our color choices, how we can in a way tackle the challenges of working with color and use it for more let's say for more ethical purposes. So, and also in this case, the important thing is one big brand as Puma also being ambassador of this change. So that's also very, very needed. Then we have strategy E, which is exploring sustainable ways to work with color. This is actually one of the things that people imagine when you talk about color and sustainability. The first thing that comes to people's mind is eco colors or biocolors, but it's not only that. As you can see, sustainability and color design can have very different branches. In this case, the keywords we have are eco colors, biomimicry, color changing surfaces, and customization as the ways to go. So in strategy E, we have action E1, which is exploring biotechnology colors. This is not something new, but the important thing is that very different materials and organic materials have been used, and there's have been a lot of development in the last year. So we may think that we are maybe used to think that biocolors lose color very, very quickly, and that they don't work for different sectors, but actually I will invite you to get more information about them, because the technologies are also being improved very fast. I've been in a biocolors conference in June last year, and I was very surprised about the different technological developments. And E2 is about experimenting with nanoscale colors and biomimicry effects. So this idea of nanoscale colors, of structural colors, are that usually they don't get lost. They don't have color fastness. So other ways, different ways, new technologies that may also provide a change to the way you think on color and how you perceive color and color fastness, or how color works. Then designing adaptable color changes surfaces. So sometimes we can, through the use of different pigments or dyeing technologies, we can work with color changing surfaces, color that adapt to the sun, the passing of the time, or colors that maybe, I don't know, wearables that maybe can provide different colors in their surfaces. So thinking on color change as a positive aspect. Also in the case of how we choose the pigments or the technologies to color our projects. Also the idea of customization and on-demand and recoloration color services is very interesting. It's something that some companies are also implementing during the last year. So there's a very important design company of kitchens, furniture company here in Italy. What they do is, after 20 years, you can call them, and actually they can come and take your kitchen furniture, and you can change the color, and then they just reinstall the kitchen in your house. So in a way, of course, it's a way for them to keep the client, but in another way, it's a way for you to keep the materials you have and just give it a new, fresh look after 20 years. So then you have a kitchen that is, again, the same kitchen is new for another 20 years. So these ideas of what about thinking on color not only as a design aspect in terms of appearance, but also as service. What about if we think on color and color design as a service more than just an appearance element? And designing also versatile objects that can have interchangeable color elements. So we can provide, or users can provide, different appearances and shapes to their objects. In this way, maybe we are going to provide more emotional durability, and people are going to try to keep them objects instead of throwing them away if they have the possibility to change the appearance and to refresh their appearance. So some other examples regarding these new or sustainable ways of working with color. I invite you to explore the different ways to produce color today. This is Fungal Exploration by artist Dasha Pleasant, which she does a lot of different works with different pigments that come from the fungi world and rain. Then we have the Living Pigments project by Julia Moser. She has been creating this bacteria dye to tackle the problems of indigo, as you can see here. So also the interesting aspect of the surface when it is dyed with natural pigments or biocolors. And then we have also all the universe of algae and seaweed, and the very, very saturated colors and different tones that you can get also for making ink, which is also very, very interesting. And the Shimmering Wood project by Structural Color Studio, where they are working with nanoscale color in the surface. It is, as you may know, structural color is related to the ways that nature has created colors in the wings of the butterfly, for instance. So it iridescence and different kinds of effects. And what about if we, as the Structural Color Studio is doing, like we apply those to the surfaces of our products? Then we go for strategy F, which is one of my favorites, is the idea of imperfection and embracing those imperfections, so visible recycled colors. These keywords are going to be eco-credentials of the project, color acceptability, and understandized color. And here what we have is understanding that the showcasing visible recycled color could be a good way. It may highlight the eco-credentials of a project that has ethical decisions behind it. Also embracing the uncommon color as a new aesthetic, so like shifting the approach to the fact that we need to always have colors that are perfect and solid colors in the surfaces. What about if we understand these uncommon or unstandardized surfaces as part of the, let's say, it's part of our time, right? So we have a, it's like an icon of our time, this idea of this very uncommon color or visible recycled color could be a contemporary look for our surfaces. Also, this F3 is important, is challenging color acceptability, trying to challenge also the customers or the consumers of some product and trying to understand if they are or not let's say if they would like to buy some products if they see that they have visible recycled colors, and how these eco credentials can also become kind of a manifesto of the consumer, and incorporating color sampling, color swapping, juxtaposition of different colors, because these materials are going to be very mixed surfaces in terms of color into our design products. So examples of this, we have the gummy portable speakers. They are made from non-recycled plastic waste. So as you can see here, every speaker is different, and they have these surfaces where you can see actually that the product is created through the mixing and swapping of colors because of recycling. And then we have this very circular project that is the Precious Plastic Portugal. What they do is that they take all the waste of plastic from children's toys, and it's like from children to children, because they recycle of those plastics and they create this urban furniture for children in their public squares. So, and you can see also here that you can tell also that that this is recycled plastic. And another example is these tiles made from lava ashes by Forma Fantasma Studio. These lava ashes come from the south of Italy and the different volcanoes of those areas. So trying to collect materials and organic waste and give it also an appearance and to communicate that it comes from there. You can see here, and you can see some mixed materials, and also the colors take you to the idea of the fire and the lava. So what about if we start also considering these kind of services, very mixed services in our products as I said, like as a contemporary appearances of our design world. So we have strategy G, which is upcycling color, which is also other one of the ones that people think on color and sustainability, which is going to be related to reuse, recycling, and discarding color. So the different keywords we have here. And here we have other actions related to thinking on the end of life of coloring products. So when we are designing from the very first, like beginning of the design process, also having an eye on what is going to happen next when the product will become waste. And so how can our color decisions also be responsible in that sense? That also may take us to design for color disassembly or the separation of materials. So not using glue, and understanding how this product is going to be recycled in the future. So I can maybe apply the colors on the different as parts of my product or my project in a way that I'm going to facilitate color disassembly in the future. Also understanding that in recycled color, there are going to be maybe some pre-existent color in the products or in the materials, and how can I take advantage of that and show it and use it on my favor in the design. Also experimenting with discarded colors to give colors a second life. So collecting, so a lot of ideas, a lot of initiatives for collecting discarded colors in our local areas or local territories. So how can we take advantage of color waste? There is a lot of color waste around us. And recycling color and thinking on recycling color through efficient collection and processing systems, and how we can, in a way, design also those collections and processing systems. So here we have some examples. This is the Recolor project by Jessica Den Hartog. What she does is she actually takes a lot of time in separating and cleaning recycled materials. So then you can, in a way, collect these colors and use them and fuse them in a way, melt them, so you can have saturated colors from recycled projects or products. We also have other people that are working with heavy metal waste for coloring ceramics, for instance. Also this is going to be related up to embracing these uncommon color palettes as the one you are seeing here, right? So it is about ceramics, and maybe those colors are working very well in the ceramic world, but what about if we also challenge ourselves of how we could use these uncommon or not very seen color palettes for our specific design sectors? And about that, there is also this project of Autumn Studio. They create biomaterials from food waste. What you are seeing on the left are different materials created from fruit peels and fruit components. And actually on the right, we see the orange lamp made with orange peel. So very, very interesting also in the exploration of the materials we can get and the new colors we could get, and the mix surfaces, how they can add something to the identity of the product. Finally, we have a strategy H, the last one. And as I said, this is more related to color quality control or color management. So understanding that this a series of actions we can do are also related to how we control and evaluate our color applications. Our keywords here are going to be optimizing color, color measurement, and color quality control. And the actions here are related to the fact that designers, usually we try to avoid the color management conversation and color measurement conversation, because this area of knowledge in the color world is usually very mathematic, it's very scientific, and it's very hard for us to enter to the calculation world and the instrumental world of color management. But actually, it's something that every time is getting easier, and also the instruments are getting more accessible in terms of costs. But it's something very necessary. We need to become familiar with color management and measurement, because in this way we could actually optimize our processes of producing color and manufacturing color, and try to create less waste. So this is something that should be, again, taught inside our design schools and universities. Also, through this knowledge, we can optimize the processes through sustainable decisions, or we could also be able to prioritize sustainable, low impact, no toxic dyes, pigments, and colorants if we get to know them, if we get to explore them, and to understand which of them we can actually use for different applications. All of this will also take us to reduce the creation of pre-consumer color samples of waste. In the color world, there are a lot of different color waste and color samples that are actually that never arrive to the consumer. They are part of the manufacturing color process, and an optimized chain of production in this case will also produce less and less of that pre-consumer waste. And this also may help us preferring the digital color sampling whenever possible. It's for sure there are some industries and applications that will never go away or will never stop using physical sampling. But actually we know usually that color sampling is not that loyal to because you usually see color samples in like 10 for 10 squares or in very small proportion of the color, and when you know that when you apply that to the actual product is going to be reacting very differently to light and to the 3D shape. So even color sampling, physical color sampling, is usually a matter of an illusion. So what about if we like recognize that, embrace that, and try to go for digital color sampling and testing in the cases that is possible, of course. And H6, the last action, is related to reducing unnecessary color variations, which means that not necessarily every industry and every supplier need to have all the color palette of the world, like with all the different 1 million colors available. What about if we think on colors that can be created on demand? Or what about if we think the value that one company may have if they position themselves to the world saying, we are not going to provide every color because we are trying to create a more sustainable point of view. So you can come and ask for the colors you need because we don't need to provide you with a catalog of 2,000 colors that are going to just confuse you, and it's not going to make your life easier to choose color. So finally, some examples of this. So instrumental and visual color control, as I said, are very essential for reducing waste. Actually, I may tell you that a common reason for products return in the fashion industry, when people and consumers return a product, is that the color of the garment doesn't match what the customer saw online. So we need more loyal protocols and fidelity protocols and accurate protocols for that. And this will mean that color critical workflow can significantly reduce unnecessary iterations and a lot of pre-consumer waste. In terms of the digital color sampling, today there are a lot of material databases, such as you can see here, Material Connection, that they work with very high digital technology. So you can see actually the colors applied in very different ways, and with the different, you can also sometimes simulate the different lights in which you are going to see or display your product. So I just invite everyone to go and explore the material databases online because they can be having very accurate or close to reality sensation or appearances. And the last one is just to show you that these protocols on color control are not only a problem of design. Actually, there are several industries that often lack a color control protocol. This is the case that you are seeing here. This is the food export-import industry, and they usually don't have color protocols or color control protocols. And when the most important part of what they do is choosing color and fruit by this color. So I really think that designers and color designers and people working with color and color control have a role also in expanding the boundaries of design and going and provide maybe with protocols or color protocols in other industries that may need a more efficient and ethical way of working with color. So just finishing my presentation, a few more things. The first thing is about that you may be asking yourself, how can we use this framework? Well, the idea is to apply it as in the educational context. So we could use this framework to raise conversation with our students. We can also maybe give them some of the actions as the conditions to design a project, and in actions of different strategies as conditions to design a project, so they can have this more sustainable point of view to design color. We could also use this framework at the professional level to talk also with our collaborators or with people of the industry, having these conversations. How can we improve the color manufacturing process, the color design process through more sustainable point of view? And also the idea of policy making and try to talk with more and more policy making and different stakeholders. We could also declusterize the actions of the framework that I show you and ask them to rearrange them according to their needs. So all of this, as you can see, the idea of this framework is also to create a conversation and to create a critical thinking of our practice and understand how we can go for the future and improve what we do. And another thing I can tell you is that usually people are ready. We just need to challenge them. People as understood as suppliers, but also consumers, but also designers. So we need, that's why we need to like get to the table and talk and see how we can improve this. But in the case of consumers, for instance, if you are asking how can I change this in my sector, actually the IBM Institute for Business Value reported in 2020 that 6 out of 10 consumers are ready to change their purchasing behavior to minimize the environmental footprint. So people are ready. We just need to offer them with more ethical decisions in our products. And this framework, as I said in the beginning of the presentation, is a call to action. Designers and design in general hold the power to change the color culture, but we all need to take responsibility. Other important thing, as I also said, is that industry collaboration is key. So sustainable color decisions or choices can drive market shifts. So people has to be collaborating with this shift. And the idea of this framework is that we need everyone to be ambassadors of this change, and it's an invitation to innovate, to rethink, and to create a more colorful, sustainable future. So that's my presentation, and thank you very much for hearing to it.
Ines, we can't hear you, by the way. Ingrid, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. I'm sure I'm not the only one who really loved it, and I'm glad we had the opportunity to hear that. Ines?
You're still on mute.
Okay. We hear you, Ines. No, we don't.
No. So maybe we shortly take over. Thank you so much all. Please stay a little bit longer because we will have some questions and answers with Ingrid, but we never do put them in the recording. So thank you so much. Please check out our new website on Substack. It was in the newsletter, so we hope to engage with you also over there. And I think we'll stop the recording now, Maya. Thank you. Have a nice Sunday.